Hi, everyone. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, I'm Elizabeth Covington. While we're getting the clickers situated, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. So I am with the Auburn University Harrison College of Pharmacy. So right here on campus, I'm in the Department of Pharmacy Practice. So I am a practicing pharmacist. My outreach is at East Alabama Medical Center. I specialize in infectious diseases and antimicrobial stewardship. So you'll see a little bit of that come out here in a little while. Sorry to student McKaylee who has to suffer through that in the classroom. But that's really my passion. I've done a little bit of work with AI in its applications in patient education and pharmacy practice, but my passion really is in AI in experiential learning. And so I'm going to spend some time and share an application of that with you all today. And if you want to advance. I'm not going to spend much time here. I could spend forever talking about all the different ways that AI is really taking over in the medical space and in health sciences. How many of you practice in a health science or health science adjacent field? I know we're here. Okay, so some. So this probably looks familiar. You've heard about some of these throughout sessions today at the conference as well. You may have even heard there's a lot of buzz around the fact that ChatGPT passed the United States medical licensing exam. I don't know if you've heard that, which is just wild to me. So there's been a lot of buzz about AI and medicine. I'm in pharmacy practice, so obviously interested in medication dispensing and medication monitoring. There's been a lot of work in that space. Even smart medication delivery, like insulin pumps that take into account more than just your blood sugar levels, but also what did you eat? How are you feeling? How many steps did you get today? Did you eat later today than yesterday? A lot more variables to consider than your traditional pump. I'm in infectious disease. So there's a lot of work being done on predicting resistant pathogens and which patients are at risk for those pathogens. And if we can predict that, we could be able to determine who needs broad spectrum antibiotics and who we could use a more narrow spectrum antibiotic upfront for. So I'm very passionate about that in particular. And then I did a project on patient education. So using ChatGPT to generate patient education materials. And I'll be honest, it didn't do great. The hallucination factor was real. There was some misinformation. As a pharmacist, there were some key drug interactions that it did not cover that it should have covered for patients. But what we found is that it was very helpful in reducing our word count, reducing the amount of passive sentences that we used, making it more readable for patients. And so it needs to be used to me in conjunction with a healthcare expert, but I think it can improve what we're doing and maybe consider health literacy. So that's all I'll say about AI and the health sciences. And then next, if you want to advance the slide, I'm going to share an activity that I did. If you want to go the other direction, I think maybe. Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Let's see. Oh, it's just animations. Yeah, ruining everything. This is a few of the ways that I've used AI as a faculty member. I'm going to focus mainly on the last bullet up here, case-based activities, and show you what I think is a really fun activity and a way that you can embed AI in teaching. So that I don't expect you to be able to read this slide. I'm going to have a QR code later on where you can see and read the detailed prompt. But what I've done is create a prompt that generates a progressive disclosure case. And if you're in the health sciences arena, you probably know what that is. But if you're not, rather than just give a student a case with all of the patient's details on it, I'll give them one little tidbit. It'll say a 58-year-old patient presents with a fever and chills. And then it's up to the student to ask questions for it to reveal more and more information. They need to know what questions to add. And then ChatGPT in this case, or Copilot, the screenshots are from Copilot, I've used both, will generate the responses. And this really has saved me a bunch of time as a faculty member because I don't have to pull actual patient charts from the health record. I don't have to worry about HIPAA. These are fictitious labs. It will pull labs. It'll pull imaging data. It'll pull culture results, risk factors, social history, their adherence data, you name it. It will give you fictitious information and it'll do a different case every single time. which is really cool. It keeps the conversation very organic too, because I don't know what it's going to generate. So I'm working through it along with students. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. Okay, and then one thing I've done in addition to this, rather than just stopping there and have students interact with the generative AI, it lends itself to a lot of discussion points about the use of AI. What did it do well? Did it treat the patient the way you would have treated the patient? Did anything surprise you? Was anything wrong? One of the barriers, I think, to using AI with students is that they don't know what they don't know. And so they can see this response that looks great and wonderful, and they think that it's right, and they don't have the experience that maybe we do to say, oh, that's obviously a hallucination. And so this is an opportunity to encourage students to practice lateral checking of information. Okay, here's what ChatGPT said. Go to your guideline-based sources and let's check that. What would you do? And then if you are interested, you can scan this QR code. It's going to take you to a ChatGPT transcript. Again, you can paste this in Copilot as well. It'll work in both places. And you are welcome to use the activity. I think it could be easily tailored to a different discipline. You'll see mine has very specific details on tailor it to a fourth-year pharmacy student on an infectious disease rotation. Give them one of these infections. You can make it anything in any discipline. If you attended the prompt-a-thon yesterday, you heard that the detailed prompting is really key, and I found that to be true. The more details I added, the better activity I got. The students have enjoyed participating, I feel like. I've gotten some good feedback. Probably most of my students have not used AI before this activity. And so it's been an interesting way to expose them to what they could do with it and maybe what some of the limitations are as well. So that's all I've got. Let me pass it on. Whoops. Okay, it's down. Down. It's
I know. Okay.
It's confusing.
Oh, thank you. I don't have slides. I'm just going to yap at you. So my name is Gill. I am a associate professor of costume design. Yes, right. They have one. And my other half of my life is being the faculty director of our teaching and learning center, the Malone Center for Excellence in Teaching. So I have a couple of identities as I talk to you here today. And so as what I represent in the university faculty, I'm a maker and a creator, but I'm also an educator. Montevallo says they're teaching focused institution, but all institutions are teaching focused. I think it just reflects the nature of our research. And my research has largely been in the creative process. How do we create? How do we create groups? And what is creativity? What is creation? What is human creation? And so you can kind of see where I'm headed with this artificial intelligence. But also as a maker, there's an interesting conversation happening in the arts about what is the future of craft. And I think particularly when we get into the fine arts that are maybe less object or commercial driven, theater is definitely, we make a thing. We make a thing and we sell it. Are my friends over in art, it's more about the phenomenology of the thing occurring. It's their expression. They're going to have a different relationship to AI than I do, because my final product is not really at this point made by AI. Really, it's not even made by 3D printers yet. I can sculpt a face faster than a 3D printer. So far, I'm not replaceable. But and then of course in music and these other things. And one thing I found really interesting in all of these conferences that I've gone to is that sometimes we start to use create and make or fabricate interchangeably, which is fascinating to me, because to me, making is the realization, it is the implementation, it is the manifestation of this alchemy that happens right here. And the thing that's really, so you talk about the data, there's not a lot of quantitative activity going on in theater. I've had to kind of catch up in the places where I must do it. We live in a space of, I call it negotiable truth. Essentially for my students, if they make you feel the thing that they need you to feel, it's the right answer. So to me, a lot of the conversations about AI and the hallucination, I'm like, oh, we've been lying to you for thousands of years, my people. And, but we made you feel the truth. So my latest thing is we make the beautiful lies to make you feel the truth. And you're probably more moved by, Game of Thrones, perhaps, than you might be moved by a more technical exploration of political structures. Now, some of you, I apologize if that's really cool to you. Great, I'd love to talk to you. But a lot of us, it needs to be put into this emotional space in order to really kind of like move us in this part right here. And so what's interesting to me about the arts is that as we start to engage with this technology, it's yet another movement forward in the tools that humans have in order to realize the things that are happening in our brain. And we were outside and I was joking. I said, it doesn't at this point, and somebody correct me so that I can just go ahead and, change my career. Just go ahead and buy the feral dog farm and go on with my life. But at this point, the AI doesn't really do abstract. It doesn't really do abstraction. And that's what I teach in my courses, is I teach a way to control the abstraction. But for some students, that ability to get started is trapped behind, risk aversion. It is trapped behind genuine executive dysfunction. It's trapped behind just being creative block or disinterest. I've had many shows where I'm like, I have nothing to say about this play, but I do need to pay my rent. So I'm going to go on and figure out something that serves the trust these people have put in me to play it. And having something like an AI to go, what can give me some ideas for, this tired old play. And you can accept or reject. And the thing that's great is that unlike a human collaborator, it doesn't get its feelings hurt because it has no feelings. And so there are a lot of great opportunities for students to practice emotional intelligence and getting used to that iteration process that are very high emotional investment in a very low stakes environment. Because one, the AI is not going to get tired, but also, I don't know if you'll notice, but they're very pleasant. They're super pleasant to you. And if you've ever used the, I think it's the GPT-4 Omega where you can do the voice. I asked a bunch of questions. It goes, it was almost like customer service. Like, have I answered all your questions today? And I'm like, I know it's a machine. I'm like, no, thank you. That's really helpful. I appreciate your time today. And I'm like, what are you saying? It goes, you know what, Emily, I'm here for you anytime. You just pick up your phone and da, 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 da. And I bought into the beautiful lie for a second. And but I've found some real value for my students who do feel nervous about maybe seeming wrong, or maybe their idea somebody might think their idea is bad, or they just don't have the confidence that they can test it with these simulations. So you feed it, you give it a character, it can role play with you. And of course, the other thing too is that, I hear a lot of talk, we all hear a lot of talk in education about, under preparation, or that's kind of the term. But what I see more is I see incredible aptitude. Again, I feel like it's trapped behind a lack of practice at a communication medium. For me, that's drawing. So for my students, if they don't draw as beautifully as what they can see in their head, they get discouraged and they give up. Yeah. So one of the things that AI can do is that if they can properly describe what they want, and this is what we teach in the arts, you can deconstruct the problem. That's how, we already do that. It works beautifully for prompt design. So my final thought, I got my 2-minute warning. My final thing, and I had kind of written this, my proposal is sort of, to champion the inclusion of arts education in your general education or in, your curricula for various careers, is we teach the problem deconstruction, identification, frame analysis type skills in order for people to work really, really well in groups and to be able to get that machine to do exactly what they want without a whole lot of noodling around. And that's it. That's it. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kenneth. I'm at the McWhorter School of Building Science. Before I continue forward, is anybody familiar with building science? What it is? All right, so with us, what we do in general, just in case you don't have any of that background, we focus on more of the management side of construction. All right, so we will have students who basically want to learn how to be able to be specific types of project managers, right? So traditionally, you think construction, you think of dirty boots and all this other stuff, which obviously is a career path that actually exists within construction, which is a great career path, as a matter of fact. But we also want to make sure that there is the opportunity for our students who are interested in that business side, that management side, to have a career in construction as well. And so what I'm going to be basically presenting to you today is just some examples of how we're trying to, I guess, adjust and adopt AI in our curriculum to meet some of the industry demands, okay? So traditionally, construction would be known as an industry that is very slow to adopt, especially with regards to innovation. But what I've found most recently is that it's kind of driving how we have to shift our curriculum in order to meet those technology or industry demands. We're in a very unique position right now that we are doing curriculum review. And this randomly at the beginning of the summer, I think it's because I was actually there during the summer teaching. Our school head came to me and said, "Hey, we really want to try to focus on some of this AI stuff." So with that, I want to preface everything I say after this that I'm not an AI expert in any means. I guess was in the right place at the right time, somewhat. But it's been a very, very interesting, time just starting to look at how the industry has adopted AI and what we need to do within our curriculum to try to make those adjustments so that we can meet the future needs of the industry. So originally, I was going to, or I am actually still going to present what I started off with over the summer was really trying to see how students are able to incorporate the use of various AI tools with certain classes, and also how it would impact thesis in general. So one of the first things I did was, I had a graduate class that I had to teach. Over the summer, I had about 9 students. And traditionally, we would possibly have a term project where they would look at doing quantifications of certain material amounts for a given project, okay? So imagine a set of plans that you get for a home or a commercial building, and you need to be able to quantify the amount of materials for that type of project. What we were faced with at that given time is whether or not we would want to go ahead and just go with the traditional manual approach to doing takeoffs and everything, or if we wanted to start to look at how AI tools that would be, aiding us with being a lot more efficient with that approach would, inevitably help our students and hopefully allow them to be able to innovate in the future when they work with their companies. And so, in talking with colleagues, and I have a colleague here that actually did something very similar as well. We decided, let's go ahead and try this tool. This tool is called AI. And what it's done, it's integrated a few different types of AI features, such as machine learning and also large language models in order for us to be a lot more efficient with that part of the process. So I set up an assignment, instead of having a traditional type of assignment that would be a term project where they would do a takeoff or whatever have you. Because of his graduate student, they said, well, let's try to see if we can incorporate different AI tools, chatbots, etc., into this class as we go through the various labs. And then you just report out what you've encountered. So we start off with a more manual approach, and I say manual approach because it is a software, where we would have a number of different clicks that would be necessary in order for us to fulfill a certain workflow. By integrating this type of tool, we essentially are able to reduce the amount of clicks in order for us to get to the end of that particular workflow. And so the software itself, and I know that it's small, I wasn't aware that we would be in this classroom, so hopefully you'll be able to at least see it a little bit. But with the software itself, it allows for us to reduce the amount of clicks that it takes for us to finish a certain portion of the workflow in order for us to examine certain plans. So just starting at the bottom left, you can see more of the quote unquote manual type of operation where it's setting a scale for a certain plan. So if you know plans, you will know that we can't really put on a set of plans the actual size of the building, so we have to scale it down. In this case, what will happen is for the project that we would have used in a more manual sense, we would go ahead and have to collaborate the drawings to a certain calibrate the drawings to a certain scale. But with the integration of this type of software, we were able to, have some sort of automated approach to scaling a set of drawings. In addition to this, through means of pattern recognition, students are able to go ahead and do takeoffs in a little bit more of a automated way by being able to recognize a certain pattern off a given plan. And then that is basically quantified by the software through machine learning to give us a certain amount of quantity of that given material type. On top of this, we are able to take other processes such as developing legends and our autonomous approach. But one of the other key features that I found to be very useful was being able to query the drawings through an integrated chatbot. So we have some knowledge that will be embedded in being the set of plans, and now we can go ahead and query the chatbot and say, hey, what amount of rebar do you have? Or what type of rebar, I'm sorry, do you find on this drawing set? Or what type of structural steel do you have? And it'll be able to give you the list of those items that you should be able to look out for. So I had students go in and try to give an evaluation of the comparison between the two, and also allow them to use other software or other tools such as ChatGPT to come up with information. And they found it generally a lot more helpful for them to be able to utilize these tools in order for them to do the same task in a whole lot more of an efficient way. So in general, it just seemed to be a very, very good approach for us to take as we start integrating more of these AI tools to make our process a lot more quicker. Now, with regards to the entire building science program, I asked our colleagues to share some information if they've had some sort of AI integration adoption or if they're working within that space. So here's a little shameless plug. We have the COB Lab, which is a construction automation, robotics, and visualization laboratory that focuses so much more on machine learning, AI, and a whole host of other types of AI adoptions and whatever have you. And so there's a number of different types of research that's actually happening in this space. Robotics, recognition of given pieces of equipment, material on sites, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But one key feature of the part of some of the research that's being done with collaborators as a part of this given lab, which I am integrating into my estimating course, is this Dr. C GPT, which is a chatbot that has actually been developed by one of my faculty members who are sitting here with us here today. And I'm basically running a pilot test on that custom GPT that will be able to assist students during the entire semester based off of everything that gentleman has been able to put out on online or I want to say electronic of the class that's been transcribed. But if you want more information on that, see the student who's been working with him on the poster session. And I think that's my time. Thank you.
We couldn't see the hallucination of the cat out here, so it didn't have.
Oh, yeah, that was fun.
They said there's a button here to push, so is it on already?
Yes,
Good. I'm Mike White, and I'm a lawyer. I don't say that very loud. Because people start cringing and grabbing their wallets and all that sort of stuff. I'm from Auburn University in Montgomery. I teach business law there. That's my primary emphasis. And today I want to share a bit with you about how we're incorporating AI. And my specialty is law and business. We're proud that we have brought to our community, our campus, a master's in AI program. It's supposed to kick off in the spring. One of the important aspects of us having an AI program, we house it in the College of Business rather than in College of Sciences, where so many universities have their AI. Our focus there is because we really want to teach kids how do you use this tool? How do you make decisions? What does it mean when you get something back from an AI exercise? Speaking of hallucinations, I'll tell you a quick story about a couple of lawyers up in New York. They were suing an airline. And they filed a motion. And the lawyers that represented the airline called the judge and said, "Judge, we've looked all over the place and we can't find the information, these cases that the plaintiff's lawyer said was authority for their motion." Judge couldn't look for them, couldn't find them, called the lawyer in and said, "All right, tell me where these cases are because nobody can find these cases." The lawyers had to confess they had let ChatGPT write the brief response. Cost each one of these two lawyers $5,000 and they got referred to the Bar Association of New York. So you gotta be careful about the way we use this tool. Of course, you heard the one about the guy that got bitten by the radioactive lawyer. How was it done? The areas that we really focus on, and I teach the ethics, the technology law and ethics in the MSAI, and we're looking at governance, privacy, security, data bias, and ethics. Just because the machine's telling you this is what the outcome is, it may not be appropriate for your stakeholders. It may not be appropriate for the circumstances of your community, whatever the circumstances are that you're having to confront. Last week, the Justice Department put out some statistics and some information about the use of AI. They predict right now in the United States, 1/3 of businesses across this country are using AI in some form of their business. So, and the growth is growing exponentially. This is not something that you're going to be able to take a month to think about, go to the golf course and figure out what our next strategy is going to be. If you do that, you're going to be 3 decisions late because people are moving on this very rapidly because AI enables us to do that. Some of the suggested best practices, and I apologize that they're very small, but I'll kind of quickly walk through them. The Justice Department is bringing forth a very aggressive compliance. And this goes for any company, any entity that's using AI in the areas of risk management, making sure you've got policies in place to ensure that you're not going to end up with breaches, misuses, things that would hurt the integrity of the processes that you have. You have to have a governance who's responsible. How do you bring forth and use this tool within your business? Data management, data is the new gold. Data is the new gold. You want to know why so many companies are bringing their data and bringing their AI operations into the South? It's because we got cheap power. We're blessed. Well, and AI, the one thing that will keep us and allow us to be able to maybe control AI is the fact we control the power. You can always turn the machine off. Life cycle management. This is going to become, as AI grows and become quant comes into it and begins to where the machines are teaching machines, which is very close on the horizon. You're going to have some sort of policies in place of how you manage this change. Stuff that you may have had originally on one platform, you're going to have to move it into some other, and how do you decommission some part of your mechanism that you're using? How do you decommission it and bring it to closure properly while protecting privacy? The government's primary interest in this has been privacy up to this point. The executive order that President Biden put out in 2023 was primarily focused on people's safety, security, and privacy. We do not have a federal law in the United States yet. There's a number of bills that are being debated and proposed, but political processes, they don't move like AI. They move slowly. And there's going to be a lot of compromise. So we don't have any sort of law that we can go back and rely upon and say, hey, this is the way to do it the right way. In effect, in some instances, it's the Wild Wild West in many aspects of the way things are done in the realm of AI. And I use that broadly. I'm talking about deep learning, machine learning, in any aspect of it. We all use AI right now, whether we realize it or not. When I go in and do legal research, I'm using AI, even though I may not think I am, because the machine will tell me, well, maybe the prompt needs to be this to get to the sources that I need for whatever I'm submitting. And explainability. Compliance is going to be the key. The government will come in, they will review what you do. You've got to have the ability to explain this is how our processes work. these are the things that I talk with students about. How, these are the things that business in any entity, whether you're a school system, whether you are running a small company, or whether you're working at one of the larger companies. Policies have got to be in place, and if they're not, you're gonna pay the consequences. Ethical challenges, fight against bias, ensure people's privacy, because data has got to be protected. You've got laws, everything from FERPA that we're all familiar with, HIPAA, any number of laws. There's an alphabet of statutes that apply to that area. Transparency on how decisions are reached. If you don't have transparency, you're probably gonna lack buy-in from your employees, your customers, all those who rely on it, and accountability. Got to have some level of accountability. I don't want to go too long. I know lawyers are bad about, sticking to a time frame, but I'll leave you with this. What we think we know about AI will be obsolete before we really understand what we thought we knew. That's how quickly things are moving. Microphone and a clicker. Say you in college, they don't come up here with me. They say, wait, the lawyer, they wait until.
So right now, I'm currently associate professor in Department of Computer Science. Okay, so first let me briefly introduce myself a little bit. I'm an associate professor, and right now, I work on a wide range of machine learning research topics. Such as trustworthy machine learning. It means security, privacy, and fairness of AI models. And parallel distributed and federated learning. It means improves the efficiency and the scalability of machine learning models. I also work on the natural language processing, the text data analysis, computer vision, image data analysis. I also work on many interdisciplinary research projects by applying machine learning technologies to different domains such as transportation, healthcare, and manufacturing. Okay, so right now, we have already applied machine learning technologies to different domains to derive new insights and improve the knowledge in specific domains. But however, so right now, currently, machine learning models have two big challenges. First one is scalability. Because right now you see, for the typical machine learning data set, it has a large scale, and also recently, with the release of foundation models such as large language models and diffusion models, those models often have billions of parameters. That means we need to update and compute billions of parameters in thousands of rounds for training a large language model. So thus, we cannot use our personal computers to train such large scale machine learning models. So this is the first issue. And the second issue is trustworthiness. It includes security, privacy, and fairness. Here I just provided an example about the security. You see, for the left picture, it's a pig. Okay, for that picture, machine learning model can correctly recognize, this image is a pig. But however, if we only add a small number of random noise, the middle image. For the people, we can recognize the difference between the left picture and the right picture. But however, the right picture can easily fool the machine learning model. So right now produce a wrong prediction result. So this is the security. Yeah, and the second one is privacy. Okay, so right now, I guess most of you have a cell phone and install that app. Yeah, when we first time to install our app, it's highly possible the app need us to agree agreement. Just if you do not agree, they do not allow you to use that app. So in that agreement, there are many terms about the data collection and data usage. As long as you agree that agreement, you lose control of your private data. So that they can use that data to do other research or either commercial use. So this is a privacy issue. Yeah, and the last one is virus. Here I just give you an example. Yeah, for computer science. Yeah, most computer science students are male students. So if we use these students' data to train jobs seeking model to decide whether a specific company will recruit computer science student or not, it's highly possible this model will be biased because as I mentioned, most computer science students are male students. If we use this data set as a training data, most training samples are male samples. It's highly possible this job seeking program will be biased toward the male candidates, not the female candidates. So this raise bias issue. Okay. So that's as I mentioned, so right now for learning model, there are two key challenges. The first one is scalability, and the second one is trustworthiness. Okay, so now in 2017, Google company proposed federated learning technologies to improve these two challenges. Okay, so they first use this federated learning framework for next word prediction in Gboard. I guess in our cell phones, you have such experience. When we input the characters, they will automatically predict the next word or characters for you. So this is based on the Google's federated learning technologies. Here, on one hand, they use our cell phones to learn a local model. This and then based on the local machine learning model, they upload the local machine learning models to server to generate a powerful global machine learning model for next word prediction. So here, on one hand, they use strings of all possible cell phones to improve the scalability and efficiency. And on the other hand, there is no data transmission between server and our end cell phones. So the data is secure and private. They maintain the local data private. So thus they improve the scalability and trustworthiness. Okay, so here we work on the project on federated learning framework for transportation management. So here, this is an example of runway driving detection. Here, all those tasks are typical computer vision tasks. So the first step, we need to identify the vehicles from videos or images. And then we need to find the vehicle trajectory. And the next step, we need to classify the normal vehicle trajectories and abnormal vehicle trajectories. And finally, we make decision, whether a specific vehicle trajectory is runway driving or not. So all those tasks mainly focuses on the image data analysis. So these are typical machine learning tasks. But however, Yeah, since the traffic, we work with, Auburn City and Alabama, DOT, for, this project. But however, in the image data, we may capture the driver's face and maybe car tag. Those data are, sensitive. So thus here we leverage the strengths of federated learning to improve. On one hand, we use strengths of the smart camera to learn the model to improve the efficiency and scalability. On the other hand, there is no data transformation between the smart camera and translating agency. So that's the data is private. So that's we propose this framework for smart traffic management. So right now, we have already applied our framework in multiple transportation tasks. So this is our recent work. Okay, that's all.
Let's give a round of applause.
Thank you, everyone, for all of that. So much information in a short period of time, right? So we're going to jump over to the Q&A portion of the session now with the minutes we've got left. I encourage you, anyone in here, feel free to ask the entire panel something or ask someone a direct question based off of what they presented and shared today. Also, anyone that's in the virtual world, feel free to pop those in the chat. I'm going to be watching those as well. So who would like to kick us off? Questions?
You said that here in the Southeast, one of our key advantages is fairly relatively inexpensive power. I grew up in central Pennsylvania, and when I was a wee lad, I recall my family contemplating having to evacuate the area when 3 Mile Island was in the process of melting down. Just last week, I read a news article that they're actually going to be recommissioning Reactor 2 to serve as the immediate power source for Microsoft's ChatGPT supercomputers to run and exclusively on AI. So looking ahead, what do we need to be as residents of our community on different changes in our infrastructure, different changes in our community, and what do we need to basically accept that's going to be coming down the pike?
Any takers?
Southern Company and Alabama Power. I think Alabama Power may be relocating some major offices here to the Auburn area. There's a process where they are moving because power's cheap. Facebook is bringing their meta building to Montgomery and just south of Montgomery. Hyundai's there. Kia's just a little bit down the road. All these major manufacturing firms are coming here primarily because tax base is low, power's cheap, workforce is available. And for AI, power is going to be the key. As it becomes more expensive in other parts of the country, here in the Southeast, we'll have relatively cheap. And yes, I read the same article you read. I noticed when I've been to China 5 times and I've ridden through the highways, I see those 3 Mile Island stacks everywhere over in China, generating power. And I read the same article and scratched my head because I remember the crisis years ago. What do you do when things don't go well? It's the China syndrome.
Well, I mean, are these things that we just need to basically know are going to be accompanying the greater expansion and use of AI? I mean, these are impacting our communities, are they not? I mean,
I think city councils, legislators, they need to be engaged with the people that are behind this. The folks that want to come in. Here in Alabama, we've got a great habit of giving out incentives for people to come here, and we don't really think it through. It looks like on its face, it's a great opportunity. And forgive me, I know I'll make people at Hyundai mad, but we gave them all this incentives and tax breaks and cheap land and everything. But they don't hire a lot of college graduates. In reality, they're looking for a workforce that doesn't have higher education, maybe a 2-year degree. That's the workforce they want. They didn't come into Alabama and bring a lot of jobs to people with 4-year degrees. They brought jobs for folks, very good jobs. My son worked there for a number of years, very good jobs, but they didn't come here looking for the same, university trained mindset of employees. So it's just, you have to talk to leadership, talk to the governor, talk to the lieutenant governor, the folks who make these decisions, the economic development office.
You guys, any other questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, this is for Emily, I think. So a few days ago, I was watching an interview with the head of scientific research at Google. And he said, everybody thinks that hallucinations are bad. We need to minimize those. He was saying, whenever we see a hallucination, we stop and we say, good, good, good. This is pointing to a deeper structure that human beings haven't noticed yet. What do you think about these?
I think, well, with my, I'm not a computer scientist, but what's interesting to me is that the difference between the lies my people tell and the hallucinations is you consent to my lies. I think a lot of the alarm around when AI presents, an article that doesn't exist or, totally makes something up. I think one time it told me that I wrote a Tony Award winning play and I wish I had. I'm not that good, but the thing is that if we as educators make sure that our students as users understand that could occur and they need to fact check it. But I think that information literacy is in everything. It was already a deep, deep need. And I think we can also see where the information literacy has failed us in a couple of places. And so I think in terms of them being glad to see the hallucination, it's a way that they can correct however the thing got to that place. Because if I understand correctly, it is giving you results that statistically will satisfy the prompt. Is that right? Is that a nice simplistic way of talking about it? And so I think that when they find these hallucinations, they go, that's a false equivalency, and they can create something that will.
But you were saying that they want to build systems that actually have more hallucinations, because those hallucinations point out connections that human beings can't see.
Interesting. So did they give an example? I'm sorry, did they give an example of what?
Drug discovery.
I'm really fascinated.
Yeah.
What types of connections are they?
Drug discovery was the example that he was talking about. The hallucination actually led to a beautiful discovery.
Okay, any other final burning questions? All right, we're gonna do a super rapid fire to close this out and hopefully get you guys thinking about maybe how you can relate and follow up on some of these conversations with our panelists. Thank you guys so much for sharing what you did today. I'm gonna start with Elizabeth, and this is a rapid fire question. So tell me very quickly, what is an obstacle or challenge you have faced when implementing AI in your curriculum and your discipline?
I think we've talked about several. I think hallucinations. I think that's a great example of where they might be beneficial, but in my realm, a hallucination could kill someone if a student is using that and not checking it, or if a healthcare provider is. I think that's a big one. Real quick, I'll add the training data to me is super crucial. I think a lot of these companies don't really disclose or are not very transparent with what data the model is being trained on. I attended a conference where someone shared a story about this company that produced some sort of tool that would predict what ICU patients or critically ill patients needed, like what types of medications they needed. But when they did a deep dive, the training model had no ICU patients in it, no critically ill patients in it. So we need to make sure that we understand what exactly is going on in the background, maybe not all the nuts and bolts of it, but what data is being trained on. So that's another thing I throw out. Thank you. Right, Emily?
Existential dread. But really, I think it's, this happens at every technological bump. Is that you have people that their joy, their pride, their accomplishment is making this thing. and making it in the way that they were taught and the people that they love and everything taught them, and this is their treasure. And now it might not be as valuable as it was. And it's very sad. It's very, very sad. But it also, I feel like, to completely turn your back on what's coming, particularly as an educator, is a disservice to the people who pay us their tuition. And so my attitude is that, you know, I sound like a huge cheerleader for it, but it is a sense of create a space where you can respect that tradition, but you also have the ability to move forward as the way that we interact with our world and what our world is evolves. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so, yeah, because I work on the trustworthy machine learning, I feel the right now, the biggest challenge of the AI research is machine learning models are very vulnerable to security, privacy and various attacks. Just before this panel, I just finished a meeting with my student. Right now we work on a project. How to use large language model to jailbreak the large language model itself. If you directly ask a question, how to make a bomb, they reject to answer. But however, if you use a smart jailbreak way, you can get the answer from the large language model. So this may raise many safety, security, and privacy issues.
Thank you. Kenneth?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge with our curriculum is really trying to figure out what to do at this point. I think everybody's trying to figure out, you know, what type of content do we need to cover, what type of skills students need to have. And, you know, one of the good things that we do have is a really strong industry advisory, industry executive board. And we're figure out exactly how we're supposed to navigate this thing. I actually have a meeting coming up in the next month with a group of industry executive board members, just so that we can get a grasp on like what do we do, what do we need to do, you know, how do we address some of those honestly challenges, autonomy, you know, critical thinking and all those other items that I think everybody else is just trying to figure out as well. So.
Michael, you want to close us out?
Fifth Amendment. I'm gonna take the fifth. You asked me to say something, an obstacle. Oh, everything's rosy, everything's great. I really think the biggest problem we have as a society, not just in higher education, but across the board, is that our lawmakers and those who make the rules don't fully understand the processes, the capacity, what all's involved. And, you know, that worries me because the law is always late to catch up. Just think about civil rights, how long it took for the courts to come out and make rulings on statutes that go all the way back to the time of just following the Civil War. We haven't gotten it right yet. So I just worry about how law is going to handle technology.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for your time.